Are you looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this football and basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select two or more players, pick more or less on their projections for a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the PrizePicks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, PrizePicks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/bluewire and use code BLUEWIRE. That's code BLUEWIRE at prizepicks.com/bluewire for a first deposit match of up to $100. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Cars.com. With over 2 million vehicles and 50,000 more added every day, Cars.com will match you with the perfect car for you, your budget, your life, your style. And if you're ready to say goodbye to your current car, Cars.com will get you an instant offer to cash it in. Just start by entering your license plate and get matched with a local dealer who will write you the check. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, just go to Cars.com. It's magical.
Hello, friends. Welcome to the unnamed Dallas basketball podcast After Dark. This is Kirk Henderson and Josh Bowe joining you at 12:30 on Saturday morning after the Dallas Mavericks just defeated the Los Angeles Lakers in a thrilling, like literally thrilling basketball game, 111-110. How are you, Josh?
I'm doing pretty good. This was another added to the list of just hilarious Dallas Mavericks games. I mean, it feels like just about every other game is something like this, or every game.
Well, they've really not hit game winners this year. So
no, this was their first one.
So a couple of things off the top. First, our podcast is still appearing in your feeds, but there is a generic name and a generic photo, which will be changed by Monday evening when we take full ownership of it. We'll be moving somewhere else. We have a name picked out, but we don't want to do all that until it's all done. You will still be getting your podcast. You don't have to do anything other than continue to hopefully tell your friends and listen as you can. We really appreciate your support. As far as the game went, Kyrie Irving played for the first time in 3 games. Tim Hardaway suited up. Christian Woods suited up. I have no idea about Markieff Morris, but the injury report had been pretty bad. We knew Luka was going to be out. So it's not that this was a must win, because every game at this point feels like a must win. It's just the margin of error grows ever thinner. And the Mavericks came out in this game and really just shot the hell out of the basketball. And honestly, I wrote this in my recap. I don't think you've even had a chance to edit this yet. But here, let me read this to you. The Lakers had 54 points in the paint to 42 for Dallas. LA had 54 team rebounds to 41 for Dallas. Los Angeles had 30 free throw attempts to just 19 for Dallas. The Mavericks were called for 26 fouls to just 18 for the Lakers. But Dallas scored 48 points from 3 and the Lakers just 15. Yeah, they won because of shot making. Plain and simple. There's 3-point variance is the ultimate thing in this game. Now that's nothing to take away from what the Mavericks did. It's just they got their asses kicked everywhere and it really didn't matter. That's kind of what I'm trying to get across.
That's this team's party trick, right? Like that's how they win games. They make threes. You want to know something crazier about that 3-point discrepancy, Kirk?
Sure.
The Mavericks only made 1 corner 3.
Wow.
They were 15 of 29 on above the break threes. And you don't even need to add that up to know that is a wildly above league average number.
That is crazy. Yeah, I wasn't looking at very much stuff.
Yeah, so it's not like the Mavericks were like slicing and dicing and getting a bunch of easy. Like the Lakers were pretty much, defensively for the most part, okay with, I mean, most teams are going to be okay with allowing, above the break threes compared to corner threes. You rotate to the corner, and then you let these guys shoot a shot that's like a 35% league average. I'm looking at it. And with the Mavs, they're, the role players are especially, but, like Maxey and Bullock, those are corner guys. But
Yep.
man, tonight, Kyrie was amazing. And I get, Christian Wood made some.
Let's
Yeah, it was just
let's
crazy.
talk about
Yeah,
those two right off the top, because Kyrie Irving
yeah.
was magic. There was a lot of points in this game where I wouldn't have blamed him had he let certain things get to him. I mean, he had 5 fouls, including some that did not, compared to some of the things that the Lakers were doing physically, I thought were kind of ridiculous.
Mhm.
And then he just kept coming. I mean, really efficient from the floor, hit a lot. It's just, his 2 turnovers, I don't think, came into the fourth quarter. I mean, he was so good today, and particularly after coming off of a foot injury, which you and I talked about, which probably still exists. Like, he's
He
probably
played
still
39 minutes.
Yeah, kid made a comment before the game that they were going to try to keep him under 40, and I read it, and I could not tell if that was a joke or not, but it seems to have been the truth. Like, the Mavericks basically decided they had to win this game, as they should
did.
have.
Yeah, they did. This was like a classic pre-trade, like basically swap Luka for Kyrie, and like this feels like a game we've seen like 1,000 times. Like, because Kyrie was everything. Like, when he wasn't on the floor, they weren't really he was the offense. He only had 6 assists, but his presence on the floor basically made everything go. It was. I want to say it was. I'm not trying to downplay it, but it really was like we've been watching Luka Doncic drag rosters across the finish line so many times that it was pretty crazy to see Luka in street clothes and the Mavericks still have a player that could do that. Like, that's why I wrote the column that I wrote. Like, there are so many problems with this team, but when you have 2 legitimate all-stars, and when you have 2, like, not just all-stars, but you have 2, let's be real. If Kyrie played the way if he was in Dallas all season and he played the way he's playing, he would be all NBA contention. So
Sure.
They have 2 all NBA caliber players right now. And that patches over a lot. That patches over, Josh Green missing all his threes. That patches over, Tim Hardaway Jr. kind of having one of his rougher nights in a while. That patches over, whatever you want us to do. The rim defense just not being there. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. We haven't had that.
It's just
in
nice
Dallas
because
in a while.
there's number one, the fact that the Mavericks haven't had any game-winning shots this year with some of the things we've seen Luka do the previous 4 years is nuts.
Right.
There have been some real opportunities that they just haven't hit, and sometimes you wonder if it's like, is it cursed or things going to swing their way? I mean, this one feels good for a variety of reasons. Number one, they bumped up to 6th in the West. Number 2 is that Spurs game left a disgusting taste in my mouth. I was just not happy about it. I understand what was working against the Mavericks, but it wasn't fun. And this was fun because a lot of my timeline was lit up with talk about how the Mavericks were getting hosed on fouls. And I'm normally a pretty big refs guy. I cannot help it. I didn't really see anything that pissed me off. I thought the Mavericks got bullied. And if you're going to, if you don't respond to getting bullied in the paint, the refs are not going to give you certain things. Like, there was a Kyrie Irving blocked shot by AD where I felt like AD hammered him at the top of his shot, and it was not a verticality play. And the refs just didn't give it to the Mavericks because they hadn't been giving that sort of thing to them. And then all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, the Mavericks really started driving, or Kyrie in specific, and then they're getting calls. I mean, just lots of made free throws. It was the free throw disparity closed quite a bit in that fourth quarter because of bonus situations. And I'm glad we're not, having to focus on things like that. It was a game that, you look ahead at the schedule. They play Memphis on Monday, who's beaten them twice in a row. And, you hope Luka's back. But it's
Ja's probably going to be back for that game.
Maybe
he can be available for that game. I don't know.
Yeah, I hope so. Just for the sheer fact that Ja's only beat Luka one time, so yeah. I'm very looking forward to pushing that agenda. But Had they lost this game, I think no one would have really, we would have been annoyed, but we would have been annoyed in the same way that we've been annoyed about some of these losses the past 10 to 12 games, because it puts a focus on the earlier miscues, not near as much as well, they lost this game because they played bad. It's like, no, this team has a specific path to win. And when things don't go their way, it feels like they can't do anything right. And this was just a nice way to see them sort of, it's, I don't want to call it a bullshit win, but sometimes you just need things to go your way that haven't been.
Yeah, I mean, they're down 9 to the Spurs on Wednesday. They're down 4 with 7 seconds left in this game. That should be 2 L's. That that's just
Yeah.
it's those scenarios typically equal losses in the NBA. And if they lost these last 2 games, the season's over. It's not like, hey, can they get out of the play-in? It's, hey, can they be in the play-in? That's the conversation we're having. And if they miss the playoffs entirely, that's I don't know if, I'm not saying coaches get fired, but
I'm just not ready to talk about that sort of thing. I bag on the Mavericks a significant amount, but these last 5 to 6 games, it's been a reminder of how not fun losing really is, even though the Mavericks have been actually pretty bad since the I did something the other game. I want to say they're since the 7-game win streak, where there's something like 14 and 22. No, not anymore. They're like 14 and 20 since then, I think, since the rollover at the calendar. They've not they didn't really improve, and they're playing basically under 500 basketball for a long time. But some of these recent losses have been pretty brutal. So, getting 2 in a row is significant. It matters.
Yeah, for sure. And we haven't really talked about the ending yet. You want to talk about the final play of the game? I don't.
Well, I mean, the 2 final plays of the game, Anthony Davis fouls Maxi Kleber off of a pass from
crazy.
Yeah, Anthony Davis is such a wimp. Just such a weenie. He's so good, but he doesn't exert his will near enough. And Stu Lance, because I had the NBA broadcast, Stu Lance, the Lakers color guy, was like, why are you jumping at him at that angle to run into him? He was lambasting AD because AD, and Maxi, top of the key 3, great shot, great pass to get him the shot. And then, I didn't realize this. Maxi's shooting 58% from the line this year.
He rarely gets there.
Do you remember at one point, this is 3-4 seasons ago, but he was a 90+% free throw shooter on the season. Real small sample size, 55 total shots or something, but he just didn't miss. And now so he went in line. It's okay, well, the Mavericks are down 4. If he hits 2 of them, maybe something happens. Instead, he hits all 3, goes 108, 109. Lakers are up. They foul Anthony Davis with 7 seconds left. He misses the front end of a 2-shot situation, makes the second one, and then kid just trolls the bejesus out of the internet.
Dude, if they lose this game,
well,
pulls that bullshit.
Well, because Theo, they went out there on the floor with a timeout to spare. And Theo Pinson was the guy inbounding the ball. And the Lakers commentators were like, what is happening? This guy hasn't played. Why is he there? And then kid calls a timeout, and he wasn't on the floor because he doesn't or was he? Was he on the floor for the final shot?
Yes, Pinson inbounded it again.
He inbounded it again. Okay, because I mean, I was furiously rewriting. There was so much going on.
Yeah.
And so Pinson's in the game. It just, Kyrie draws too hard. It's not even a soft attempt because there's 6.1 seconds.
Yeah, there's no time left. You might as well. That's the right play by the Lakers.
He drives hard going right and passes the ball to Maxi with 1.4 seconds left. That's when the ball leaves Kyrie's hands.
Yeah.
Hits him exactly in the pocket on the left wing. Just a beautiful pinpoint pass. If that pass is off, I don't know if Kyrie, if Maxi gets the shot.
If it's anything other than what it was, he doesn't get the shot off.
Maxi, and so then Maxi just, gets his very pretty standing 3-point shot, and it goes down, and you just see the Lakers go, oh.
and also the Kyrie pass, but have you ever seen Maxi shoot a 3-pointer in 0.3 seconds, which is what he did basically? he got the ball with 0.5, and I think there was 0.2 left when it left his hands.
Just really something.
Like when Kyrie passed the ball, I don't know what you were thinking because I know you had recap craziness, but when the ball left Kyrie's hands, I went, "Oh well, that's game over." And it wasn't because like I thought Kyrie threw a bad pass. I was like, "Oh, there's no time left. Like even if it gets there, he's not gonna like Maxey has a very slow shot. Like he's just not gonna get it off in time." And he did. Like it's if you replay that scenario like 100 times, like 95 of them end in like a crazy bricked missed shot at the buzzer or there's no shot. Like I can't emphasize enough how absurd both the pass was and the shot release, the timing of like the quickness of the shot release. That is just like that is a reminder that these guys are like crazy, like professional basketball players are just like on an.
I'm watching the shot now, and you're right because he always has a bit of a trebuchet load up, and that's fine because he's wide ass open.
Yeah, he's never been the guy that takes like quick shots. He's never running off screens or like he's always taking those spot up, wide open shots. Like that was crazy. Just unbelievable, and it's one of those things
Theo
like
Benson is at +3 with 0 on
because that's his only possession.
There's a lot we could talk about. I mean,
they blew a 9-point lead basically. I mean, they had a 9-point lead to start the fourth quarter.
And I'm not sure I'm pretty tough on these guys. I don't know if you blow it if you they gave up 5 fouls in the first 4 minutes, and when that of the fourth quarter, and then when that happened. And just with the way the game was getting called, I was just ready for the game to be over with for the Mavericks side of things because things when things start going south for Dallas, they go really far.
Yeah, and this is not a team that responds on the road, by the way. This was only their 14th road win. They're now 14-21. Like they do not. This is 2 road games in a row that they've battled adversity in the fourth quarter and won. Another thing that is just blowing my mind, D'Angelo Russell and Malik Beasley, the Lakers starting backcourt, combined 0 of 9 from 3. Russell shooting 41% from 3 with the Lakers this season. Beasley shooting 35%. If you're a Mavericks fan and you don't watch a lot of other NBA games, you probably think D'Angelo Russell is like the worst player in the NBA because Kirk, in the 2 games Russell played against Dallas when he was with the Wolves, he shot 30% from the floor and 7% from 3.
Remarkable.
That was going into this game, and he went 0 of 6 from 3. So that number went down. Like the 3 worst games D'Angelo Russell has played this season have all come against the Mavericks. It's just, and that's like, they're not guard, like it's not like, oh well, they've got a guy that's like it's not like basketball is just crazy. It's like jump shots aren't perfect. It's just these guys aren't robots. Like it just goes to show that like we can make as many predictions and we can analyze as much as we want, but sometimes things just happen because sports are weird. All bounces in a weird direction. What do you know? What's going to happen?
2 games ago against the Pelicans, the Lakers hit 18 3-pointers. Okay, that's 54 points, team, for anybody that can do math. And it's just I had this thought 2 games ago. I was like, they're not going to shoot. I was like, they're just the way teams go, because we see this happen in the Mavericks where they go like 4 of 25, and it's like, what is happening? Like the 3-point variance is really nuts. And if things were to go sideways over these last 10 to 12 games, if teams, because the Mavericks, like, just quite simply, I'm not taking anything away from the wins at all, but the last several weeks, the Mavericks have had unbelievable 3-point shooting luck from on a defensive point of view. Like teams cannot hit against them.
Yeah, we don't have, you're right. I don't have the numbers updated for this game yet, but last 10 games, the Mavericks are shooting 40% from 3 on 42 attempts per game, which is absurd. Like that's really, really, really good. And their opponents in those 10 games, I don't think I have that number off the top of my head.
Sure, that's fine. I was just thinking about it out loud.
Right, it's just crazy.
Yeah. Well, there's some other like box score oddities. Like Christian Wood couldn't hit the broadside of a barn tonight, and yet also had 8 assists and 4 steals. Really, interesting performance from him over 34 minutes. Obviously finished a +4. The only guy that really was pretty brutal on the plus minus tonight was Maxi Kleba, which is hilarious because he hit the game winner. It's this team has shortcomings. You get lucky with your Davis Bertans 8 minutes scoring 6 points, just stealing stuff for the Dallas Mavericks while he's in, because it's like AD was just trying to go to work whenever. There's at one point there's a weird lineup with like Bertans like playing 3 at one point, which is just this is hilarious. Like this team just doesn't have a ton of options, and they need things to go right. And it was one of those games.
I got that number. Entering tonight, opponents in the last 10 games are shooting 34.4% from 3 against the Mavericks.
That's crazy.
That's the 6th best mark in the last 10, and that number is going way down. The number's dropping again tonight. So.
Sure.
And that's like, there's nothing like how many people that we talk to, like you can control the attempts, and the Mavericks do a pretty decent job controlling the attempts, but like the percentage is like data, it shows that that's kind of luck. Like there's not much you can do there.
Though the Mavs do a good job of limiting corner threes somehow.
Yep, they do.
I don't really get how.
Lakers only had 4 tonight, 4 attempts. So
yeah.
I would only say, you're talking about like how they kind of have to the mash units that they have to play. I feel like the last 2 games, I don't have too many rotation complaints. Christian Wood played 34 minutes. They basically played 2 bigs a ton of the game,
which was nice.
Green played more than
work.
Green. Yeah, I know. Green played more than Justin Holiday. Theo didn't play until the end of the game.
Green had some boneheaded stuff going on.
Yeah. He kind of returned to earth. Again, it's one of those things they really need to figure out how to get Green playing one of these crazy games when Kyrie and Luke are on the floor. Seems like when one of those guys are on the floor, he kind of loses a bit of his aggressiveness, which is understandable. He don't have the ball in his hands as much. But I'm just saying, the team is still in a weird spot with the rotation, but I don't really see any like if they would have lost this game, the thing I wouldn't have been criticizing was like, well, Kidd was playing this lineup. Like I didn't really see any of that kind of stuff.
No, I didn't see any. Like if they lost this game, I was prepared to come in here and say this is a 50-50 game where I had a whole section written out on how the 3-point variance actually made this game feel a lot closer than it was, because the Mavericks got the shit kicked out of them everywhere else.
Yeah, if the Lakers shoot average from 3, they win by like 10 points.
Yeah, I mean, they hit one more 3. They hit one more 3. This game is over.
They're 5 of 20, and they're two of their best 3-point shooters.
I just can't. The thing that I can't fathom is like I am not an Anthony Davis guy. I understand he was an All NBA center for a while, but like he should have creamed
he was invisible
the Mavericks,
for a lot of
and he's why they lost.
Yeah, he didn't turn it on. Like he finished with a pretty decent game, but there were stretches, especially in the first half.
Yep, he hit 5 shots in the first half. What are you doing?
Yeah, some of that's his teammates, but man, that's tough.
Okay, well, we always did the thing. We talked longer than I meant to. I'm going to go do the live show. Again, don't worry about the feed. Just keep coming. Hang out with us. We'll announce more when we know more. We have some things that I want to try. Hopefully we get to try them before the playoffs, but real life is a bitch because somehow it's 1 a.m. and you and I have both been up since about 5:30. So we're gonna go here. Thanks so much for hanging out with us, and check back in with us on Monday night with our hopefully then new named podcast. Everybody be good and go Mavs.